Latest advisory that's coming here from the Hurricane Center. Winds now up to 60 miles per hour. The previous advisory was 50. Pressure has been dropping. It was 1,002 millibars. Now it's down to 996. And we've got a better fix on where the center of circulation is now. It's sitting right in here, 180 miles south-southeast of the mouth of the Rio Grande here. And you take a look at where this is going to be headed. Likely going to be up here toward New Orleans here, as I think South Texas is going to be in for some rough weather here today. No doubt about that, and tonight, but then pulling more away or paralleling the Texas coast and going into the Texas coastline here. More well-developed now than it has been at any point during its life. Now, we saw a big blow-up of convection overnight. That may wane a little bit here during the daytime, then could blow up again overnight. I think it will only maybe be a matter of time before we see an eye that may form on this. The convection is there, convection being the thunderstorm activity. Again, a lot more happened overnight early in the morning, and then you see that taper off a bit in the afternoon, but still some thunderstorms around the Brownsville area and some heavy rain that's going to be in your forecast, and couldn't rule out, some severe thunderstorm warnings or maybe even brief tornado touchdowns. A lot of times the outer bands of tropical systems can't produce that. Tropical storm watch here does include the Brownsville area, but also up here. Mostly Louisiana now with the hurricane watches and tropical storm watches in effect. Morgan City included in that, New Orleans, Lake Charles included in that. On the radar, you can see where some of the heavier banding is. Right in there is a very heavy band. I think more bands will spiral around this as the center tightens up a little bit more. The winds start to increase. The pressure is dropping. And so these will all be issues for us. We've got the wind that's more or less out of the northeast right now along the South Texas coast. Hurricane hunters have been in there. They have found the center of circulation, and they have seen the pressure drop. Again, that's the reason we saw the 6 millibar pressure drop. But now heading back to base here. And I think that we're going to get, continuous airplanes at this point. And so I think we're going to get some really good data from this point all the way up through landfall here. I think that's going to help us a lot, especially predicting the exact track on this. I think this doesn't have a long way to go. Keep in mind, it's landlocked at this point. It's going to make landfall, but I think we can really narrow that down here as we get closer and closer to the landfall event. If you take a look at the winds from the hurricane hunters, they saw nothing extreme necessarily. When they were in the thick of it, winds were a moderate tropical storm force. And so this is the reason we've got the 60 on it. It began when they're on the outskirts of it. The winds had come way down. Again, they're flying out of it at this point, so this is why the winds are way down. They're not reporting those winds any longer. In essence, they turned the instruments off. But in essence, what's going on here is the winds extend out 160 miles. Tropical storm force winds extend out 160 miles, so it's got some reach to it. And take a look at some of the buoy data. Some of the buoys are measuring winds between, say, 25 and 35 miles per hour. Where Dr. Nab, we expect those winds to gradually intensify over the next 2 days here. And it could become a more significant wind event than the Category 1 that's predicted right now.
Yeah, I'm sure I speak for everybody who would say, let's get another plane out there as soon as we can to make sure this isn't starting to rapidly intensify sooner than we expect. We think tomorrow could be quite a day of intensification with this system, but we need to monitor what's going on underneath this cloud canopy. And the pressure did come down 6 millibars, as Mike mentioned, but I wanted to quickly, comment on the fact that going from 50 to 60 miles an hour since 11 a.m. Eastern time does not mean it's in the process of intensifying 10 miles an hour every 3 hours. Part of this is rounding. You'll never see an advisory with max winds of 55 miles an hour because of some rounding between knots and miles per hour. So it doesn't mean that 3 hours from now it's going to be 70 and then at 8 o'clock tonight it's going to be 80. At least I hope not. I don't think structurally it's in that phase right now. But by tomorrow, it certainly looks like it will be. And tomorrow into Wednesday morning, that's the time frame when it could rapidly intensify, maybe come out of that on Wednesday stronger than that 85 miles an hour. So that's the concern with that upper level high pressure in place. Now here's this trough that's going to come in and along with the ridge that's to the east, steer it northward and northeastward. So it is going to accelerate. And look at the colors, the low-level spin. Even the global models say it's going to be more compact by the time we get to tomorrow. And then there's the acceleration northeastward with upper-level outflow really well defined. So it's moving relatively quickly as we go Tuesday into Wednesday. But then it runs into wind shear as it's approaching the coastline. So hopefully that will tamp down whatever intensification was underway at that time. And then it'll slow down inland. But the upper level high pressure, the very warm waters that are really warm to some depth in the western Gulf of Mexico, that's the concern. So we got to monitor what's going on in its interior, Alex. And like you mentioned, we're going to talk in a few minutes on all the different things that are working for and against this over the next 2 critical days.